that live down here, pretty much 90% of me mates, they whitebait as well. They might do possums in the possum season, and they might whitebait in the whitebait season. What else have you got down here to do? It's about pretty much the two things you could do down here to make a living that without sort of getting a job, without farming or anything like that. So it's money. It's pretty much, well, that's what it is. It's $50 notes swimming up the river, isn't it?
I'm used to whitebaiting all the time, but sometimes the boys take the boat out. We go fishing out at the sea, and then my dad likes surf casting. We go fishing in the river. Me and my uncles go hunting, get deer. Yeah, pretty mean life.
Earliest memories would have been after a day at Jacobs River School. You'd get picked up by Mum and she'd take you down to the river and plonk you beside the net, and you'd have to sit down there in the rain trying to light fires and keep them warm. And it was pretty good though, like you enjoyed it, and then walking back home and swinging your bucket.
It was enjoyable then. There was only really our family that fished the river, and that was, I guess, Mother's contribution to the Christmas fund for our Christmas, and that she used to be pretty passionate about her whitebaiting. Yeah, right. Now just this edge, make sure you scrape those stones right, yeah, that's it.
Whitebait was obviously really important to tangata whenua. Early settlers caught whitebait. They saw Maori catching it, so they were interested. They often were hungry and they needed something to eat, but it wasn't widely caught. The Chinese gold miners were actually the first to see the potential, and they would catch the whitebait and dry it and then export it to China. And settlers became more interested in whitebait when it started to have commercial value, when there was a way of preserving it. The first canning experiment was done in Westport in 1875, but it wasn't till the 1890s that canneries really got started, and then people could sell the whitebait that they caught, and there was suddenly a whole lot more motivation to spend a lot of time beside the river. These are replica tins of whitebait. The reddish colour labels are from a canning factory at Bruce Bay. There's some from the Southern Alps Whitebait Company, which was at Okuru, just south of Haas. That was the biggest whitebait canning factory in New Zealand. And then the labels here, they're from the whitebait canning factory in Hokitika, which again, pretty big business. And they went all around the world. They went to Australia, Europe, Asia, and even to the Middle East. So, and apparently a company in Westport did curried whitebait as well. So yeah, it would have been interesting to see what they tasted like. When whitebait became worth money, people started to get into catching it in a big way. So the nets stretched further and further out into the river, and there started being a lot more disputes between whitebaiters in terms of how close they were to each other and who was blocking whose catch. And yeah, there certainly was a lot more pressure put on whitebait.
They went out and caught it to sell to the factories, but by the time they got to the factory door, it was full for the day and they didn't take any more. So what could you do with it? You can't eat 100 kilos of whitebait. I'd try, but don't know I'd be too successful. But you hear the stories about people digging it in gardens and feeding it to the chooks and those sorts of things. And they fished in a very similar way back then as what we'd tried here today. Bring your cutting tool here, Margaret.
We're not actually allowed to touch the river in any way. We're not allowed to disturb it. So you're not allowed to shovel, you're not allowed to disturb the bank. I don't even think you're allowed to shift rocks. So like if we hadn't got permission and they had to come across and seen that, they would have thrown the book at you. Pretty much you're allowed to drive waratahs and then put your net up. So it's minimal disturbance. See, what we done over in Manukau, we actually dug a trench, and so the whitebait will naturally follow the edge of the river, and then they'll cruise up that trench and then go and sit in deep water. So yeah, what we done was pretty highly not pretty frowned upon.
Not bad mustering techniques.
The first regulations started in 1893. They were quite simple and basically were all around set nets. I think it was until the 1920s you could only have a net that went a third of the way across the river. Some people just blocked. You could block a whole river off.
The compliance side of it went from the police to the MAF, then to the Department of Conservation, and now it's split between Department of Conservation and Regional Council. And all of those things have made it a little less attractive and certainly a lot less commercial than it used to be. Just lift the stones out carefully so the back don't fall down. Alright, quick, get the corner. There is a huge pressure on the fisheries. Overfishing to me is an issue that's been brought about by the property right issued to whitebaiters. That when they come here, they've bought a whitebait stand that they may have paid, in excess of $100,000 for, and that's their right to catch whitebait from whatever time in the morning to whatever time at night. Midnight 1st of September, they're fishing. They don't stop till midnight 14th of November. And they go before daylight till after dark. Every single day they can possibly get a net in. And to me that's really stressing out the fisheries. Nothing gets past. There's nothing like the tonnages being caught now to what there was 20, 30 years ago. By and large, the only reason people are still doing it commercially is that the price has gone from 1 6 a pound to $75.
I love it. To catch whitebait, I reckon you have to eat whitebait, and I reckon we eat more whitebait than anybody else. There's nothing like it, like having fresh whitebait patties and being able to supply something to somebody that they can put on their table, they can eat. Food is life.
And all it does is add whitebait, salt. You know it's fresh when it's jumping around the pan like that fella did. They don't come fresher than that. Whitebait comes from the Manapawa River, the gift of the gods. After school, we come home from school, first thing we do is cook a handful of whitebait and heat it up, and that was our snack before tea, whatever time that was going to be that night. Done, ready for serving. Might overload your plate for a kick-off. There we are, guys. Help yourself.
Young people should get more into it. I don't know if they have put strobe lights or something on the riverbed or something. I'd love to see chicks out here in bikinis. But it's retired people. It seems to be the thing. They retire, get a caravan, and then come to a river on the coast. It just draws you here, though, like the freedom that you have here, that you can wake up in the morning and decide, I'll go whitebaiting today, and go out on the river and still make a good wage, or be sitting at home tonight and think, I'll go and try and shoot a deer, or you've just got so many options. And it wasn't until I went away you realise that we live in a pretty special place.